Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I am Yael Tygiel. That's Taylor Gates. This is Law and Order SVU. We're talking SVU season 26, episode 17, Accomplice Liability. If you need help, please reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673. 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, what does that spell?
Hope.
Great. If this is your first time watching the SVU podcast, then please leave. This is not the episode for you. I'm gonna just say it. It's not the episode for you. The SVU takes serious issues and sometimes addresses them, and other times they don't. Anyway, SVU podcast likes to make jokes and consider this your content warning. All right, this is season 26, episode 17, Accomplice Liability. Here is the quick gap. Carisi attempts to put aside his role as a prosecutor to serve as a witness in a trial. Benson tries to help a rape survivor struggling with her recovery. Taylor, what'd you think?
Hated it. Don't know why we did this. Bored to tears. Nothing about this was for me.
If you've ever watched SVU or when we were on AfterBuzz and have heard us talk about SVU, I will say 26 seasons, there has been a single episode that I hated. Every other episode has been mostly, like, even episodes that I didn't like, I would probably rewatch when they're on a marathon. There's been one episode that I cannot stand. There are now 2 episodes that I cannot stand.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So here are my thoughts. This season specifically, but we've been saying this a lot. This show is propaganda. That is not hyperbole. That is not as exaggerating. The show is propaganda. I have never seen a show go, I think we're being too subtle. Why don't we make it so much more overt? Why don't we make it so much worse? And also, why don't we look really racist? Like, why don't we throw that on there as well? Like, that feels like what we should be doing in the year 2025.
It also doesn't make any sense from what we set up, at least in my opinion, because in the episode with the robbery, Deontay, at least the way that Peter played Carisi, and this is not necessarily his fault because you have different directors, you have the writers taking in different directions. However, the way he played him in those moments did not seem to me like this is a desperate thing and I'm lying to this kid. Now we have this switch up where he hates this kid and doesn't trust him, and we're making out this kid to be this mastermind villain that he never was in that deli. Ever. So this doesn't make any logical sense to me at all. It was very clear that Boyd was his, guy who was controlling all of it. So the fact that we have him being the guy that takes the guns and the only thing that matters to him is himself. No, that's not what you set up. That's lazy, sloppy writing.
I agree with you. I felt like this episode went, ooh, you know what? We may have made him too sympathetic in the first episode. Let's just make new stuff up and give him these layers that didn't exist before.
And mind you, the fact that he was sort of a sympathetic figure is the thing that made it even somewhat interesting. Making this guy a full-on villain who had all of this agency makes him boring immediately. And that was the only thing that was saving that deli episode, and the performance of the girl, which we'll talk about, I'm sure.
Yes.
But the fact that it was kind of a gray area, like he was not a good person, it was a bystander effect sort of thing, was interesting. This is not interesting.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Because it was seeing Carisi have to explain to this guy that even though he's committing a crime, he would help him get out of it. And he, you know, was an accomplice, but wasn't necessarily the perpetrator, to then have us see Carisi be like, no, here are all these, an avalanche. Let's throw all of these charges at him. Let's, you know, tear him apart for all of these things. I think that is not as interesting as Carisi having to struggle with, I went through all of this. Ali is dead. Tess was raped. All of this was terrible. But I'm torn about Deontay's part in it. No, that's not what he chose to do. And I will say, the question of where the guns came from is interesting, but it didn't go anywhere interesting, because he says on the stand that Boyd brought out the guns, which then is an interesting question. Is, let's say he did, where did those come from? You know what I mean? Like, there would have been an interesting story, but instead we just threw it there. And then when he wouldn't answer the DA, and he was like, you know, Boyd brought it, I don't know where the guns came from. And then she just moved on to the next question. So like, you do something interesting.
It's also not that fun to watch a man lawyer tell a woman lawyer how bad and incompetent she is at her job, when it's not fun to watch. I'm sorry. Just not even like the dynamic of that, which is already annoying to see. We've seen this a billion times, and I'm so bored. We get it. He's a lawyer, that he wants to do lawyer things. Oh, he can't. He's a witness. Whatever. We've seen it a zillion times. We took the least interesting route for every single part of this episode. Like, the most obvious, easy route, lazy route, too. Sorry, but that's true. Not to get all fired up, but like, it's boring and it's insufferable to sit through. Like,
I'm agreeing with you. You've not said anything I disagree with. I also think, I mean, I want to talk about Tess and her story, because first of all, the episode starts that she's been missing for a week, and Carisi's worried, and he's like, what if she's in trouble? And then Benson says, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm sorry, a rape victim has been missing for a week. No one has heard from her. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Yeah. Benson? I could understand, you know, anyone else I could understand. They'd be wrong, but anyone else I could understand. That line I couldn't believe. But then, to the way that they treated her, and look, I'm not an expert in witness tampering or something. But I'm pretty sure that pressuring her to testify, putting her up in a hotel room, and giving her a phone feels like you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, you know, towards this witness. I feel like if I were the defense attorney, I'd be like, did you guys bribe her? You gave her a phone.
Yeah. It also just like, this is probably a very realistic reaction for a person who's went through what she's went through.
Mm-hmm.
It was also redundant in the episode. It was also like, okay, we're seeing the same thing 3 times. Give us something. You only have 42 minutes and you're using it to every time make her be doing the same exact thing. Like, I don't know. It's just not that interesting.
It's such a bummer, because as Velasco says, I'll never forget that scream.
Yes, and they didn't ever really explore that.
I think she deserved so much better. I will also say, and I think that this is another, in addition to the guns, another thing that like we never went anywhere with, and I kind of wish we had, Jay Goldstein, the fake lawyer who's awaiting a murder trial for poisoning his mother.
That's literally interesting. Why are we doing nothing with that?
He's hilarious. Yeah. He wanted to represent somebody without being a lawyer.
We should have literally let him do that because that would have been fascinating and made this so much wackier. The thing also about this episode that just makes it tedious is we're not really finding out a lot of new information either. This episode is a recap of the other episode. Like, there's a reason why we do court cases and the actual crime in the same episode. Because when we devote a whole one to a court case, we're just hearing the facts we already know for the most part. And also, I'm just going to keep going. But if this is supposed to be Carisi's big episode, it's not like we really delved into his emotions at all either. Frankly, at all. If this was supposed to be his big, shining, emotional release closure moment, then actually show him showing emotion instead of just frustration. Anything else. Anything more complex than what we got. It was so black and white, and this is not a black and white case. You can be a victim and a perpetrator at the same time. Many people that happens to. And I think Deontay is a perfect example of that, and that's not how we frame this at all.
He was a perfect example of that in the first episode, and then they changed it all on us for the second episode.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of black and white, the optics of this episode, terrible. Also, they had no warrant to enter.
Yes. I was like, we're just going to skip over that? Why have him say it then? Why have him say it? You're just making yourself look bad. So unless that comes out and it's like, wow, SVU is really not following the law, which will not happen.
Just hand him a piece of paper and walk in. You know what I mean? Like, so, props, give them paper, walk in, problem solved.
Seriously.
Where was that going? What was the point?
There was no point. That's the issue. There was so little point to everything in this episode.
Okay. Well, let's give some actor shout outs because at least that was positive.
Yeah.
So our ADA from Brooklyn is played by Stacey Farber. I believe she is best known for Degrassi.
Slay.
The other counselor, the defense attorney Vaughn, is Juan Pablo Raba. Deontay Mosley, again, played by Keith. Oh, Keith, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name. Meche Kenyanga.
I have to say, you are a great actor, and I want you to know that I know that because you got done so dirty by the material you got in this episode. You were so good in the Deli episode, and you deserve better justice for him because he gave so much depth and interesting stuff, and then they didn't let him do it ever again. Just have to say that.
I'm with you. Tori Khalil was Elizabeth, and then Tess was Paige Herschel. And then Tess's boyfriend / drug dealer was Miles Docell. I'm so sorry, I'm butchering last names.
Also went nowhere.
Also a good performance. When he comes to the hospital and is like, where's my girlfriend? I was like, oh, I definitely thought that he was not actually the boyfriend. Like, I thought the boyfriend was a cover and that he was just her dealer.
Well, I was like so interested if they did anything with that because I was like, okay, maybe they're setting up obviously to be like, this is a toxic, like somewhat abusive relationship, whatever. But when he like came to the hospital, I don't know, there was like a flicker of like, maybe he actually cares about her.
Right. Because he came.
It actually really interesting.
Yeah, like, again, up until that point, right? Because he was like, I don't know why you're in my house. And then we find her OD'd. He's not even in that same room with her. I was like, oh, he's just the drug dealer. But the fact that he came to the hospital and was like, show me my girlfriend. I was like, oh, this is an actual relationship. And then to find out that he has this history, I was like, that's interesting. Oh no, we're never seeing him again? Okay.
That's the thing, because I was like, okay, he's either showing up to like intimidate her or he's showing up because he actually cares. And it would be really interesting if he actually cared. And then she has to reckon with the fact that like he did this stuff in his past and has issues, but he's trying to get better. Like, that's interesting. But we never even found out which it was. And I'm sure it was probably the obvious. He was going there to intimidate, whatever, which is like not everyone is a black and white villain. Lean into the gray areas. That's where I like. That's where it's fascinating.
I'm with you. The optics, guys. Thank you, Daryl. Farber was also in Superman and Lois and Netflix's Virgin River.
I liked her fine.
I do appreciate that she reminded Carisi that it's not their case, it's her case. And Jay Goldstein.
Slay. Love him.
Tiny, amazing performance. John Sklarov. I'm so sorry, everybody. Names are hard. I get it. Doreen is watching sports.
And you know what, Doreen? Go back to watching sports because this episode, it ain't worth it.
You know what? Honestly, I agree.
And honestly, you're bringing Kelly Giddish back to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelly Giddish.
Let's just have her support her man and do literally nothing else the entire time.
Remember when she was a really good detective and now she's a sergeant?
I do actually remember that. Remember when she had any kind of character or edge to her at all and didn't just do whatever?
She also has a line that upset me, and I'm going to bring it up. I know we go to best lines in a second, but this upset me, so it's not best line.
Not the best.
So after Carisi's on the phone with Benson, Tess is in the hospital, and she tells Rollins that he's worried about Tess. And Rollins says he's going to worry about both those girls until they're married with kids. Now, I understand the sentiment that he is going to worry about them for a long time into their future and through their life. I understand that sentiment. That sentence is offensive as fuck.
Ew, I didn't even catch that, but that's so weird. Wait, Rollins said that?
Rollins says about Carisi.
That is lit. That actually grosses me out because that's like what happened to her and now she doesn't have much of a personality. Ew. Sorry, maybe this is the friend that's too woke moment, but like I don't like that at all, especially with what happened with her character arc.
I just don't. Again, like I understand the sentiment. A better line could have been, he's going to be worried about those girls until they're 85 on their deathbed. You know what I mean? Like
until the day he dies. That's a very easy line.
Sure. Until they're married with kids. That is the most outdated concept I've ever. I'm going to worry about this single woman because she doesn't have a man and children to keep her entertained and safe.
Not even married with kids is crazy. What?
Okay. And then, because again, not a good line, Velasco says, we can't cuff her to the bed, right? About Tess. I guess if Finn had said it, it would have been funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, she is a rape victim who is an addict.
Oh my God.
On that note, do you have any good lines?
I have 3 that are fine.
Great.
You're surprised the lawyer lied during a hostage standoff? I actually did like, they had a gun, I had words, I used what was available to me. I think that's actually kind of hard. I like that.
Nice.
What he did was not self-defense, it was self-preservation. I just like the distinction between self-defense and self-preservation because I do think that's an interesting distinction to note. So those were fine. I wrote them down. So
I guess not a line. I didn't
come empty-handed.
Not a line, but a concept is a fake lawyer awaiting a murder trial for poisoning his mother with antifreeze.
I do like that.
That's a funny idea.
The problem with SVU nowadays is they have these throwaway cases that they reference, but they never actually do those cases. We have the porta potty guy. We have the antifreeze guy. We have all these crazy people that we talk about. Well, stop being cowards and show them to me instead of just mentioning them in passing.
One of my favorite storylines, and it's such a tiny storyline, but it played into an entire arc, is the guy who is into the coats.
Yeah.
And not only did we see him humping what he thought was soft coats, but was actually an unconscious woman. Then we see him as a halfway house roommate to Lewis, an co-employee with Lewis. Like, his story continues. Then we see him again when Yates ends up in the jail with the ME. All of these things, right? We saw that character. He was a minor throwaway, ridiculous storyline, and we saw him continue. We're putting aside that actor actually is a huge Broadway star, and I believe he definitely was in an Oscar-nominated movie. Anyway, putting all that aside, at some point, Finn makes a joke about him being like, and he thought it was a dead body, like some throwaway joke. And at least it was tied to a real ridiculous case.
Mm-hmm.
We have 26 seasons to pull from. There have been ridiculous cases. Also, there have been not ridiculous cases that if you say them out loud in a certain way could come off as ridiculous.
With ridiculous elements.
Yes.
Like the porta potty guy or the antifreeze guy, like that could be a smaller part of a larger story, but you can't just not really show them to us in their element. Come on. You're teasing us.
I would love like a super cut of these ridiculous throwaway.
Never see. Yeah.
No.
The Avengers of like crazy sex crimes.
Yeah. All right. That's enough of that. I have actual show news to fill us in on. This actually is the thing that I was most excited about to bring to everybody this week. First and foremost, I was incorrect about the organized crime rollout. So
I was going to mention that too. I said, oh.
Yeah, it was incorrectly teased. It has been further explained. Organized Crime is, again, the season premiere of Organized Crime is going to be airing on NBC after the Mothership SVU crossover. That is still happening. The first 2 episodes of Organized Crime will be dropping on Peacock at the same time. Then it will be releasing week to week. So if you're watching Organized Crime, it is going to be 2 episodes and then week to week on Peacock. Okay, that's that. And now the actual exciting news. I don't know if you saw this. We get a new showrunner next season.
I did see that.
It is also the first woman showrunner that we are getting on SVU. God. 26 seasons. We get our first woman showrunner. Now, that's not only very exciting, but she previously wrote on the show. So she knows the show.
Fault, didn't she?
What?
I think she wrote Fault. I think my friend told me that.
Look it up. It is Michelle Fazekas. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, Michelle. So she, I believe, was like partnered writer, had a partner that she wrote with a lot, and they went on to like make a few shows that I watched.
Co-wrote Fault, indeed.
And which one is Fault?
That's the one, Elliot and Olivia at the airport where they're trying to get away from that guy because he's holding the kids hostage.
Oh.
And then like they stab the kid or whatever to save Olivia, and there's a lot of EO tension. If I messed up some of the details, that I'm sorry, but we all just know it as the hug, you know?
It's, first of all, I think it's the train station.
Station, yes, sorry. Is there not an airplane in that episode though?
I think there might be at the end.
I don't know. You're right. It is a train station because it's a very chaotic environment.
I hate that episode. But
too bad. We love it.
That's fair. But I do understand the reason you love it.
Well, yeah, it's an Elliot Olivia episode.
No, I got that. I understood now.
But still, that's one of that's not a this episode. You know what I mean? So we'll allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a woman, and let's see what a woman can do with this, you know.
But
also, I'm sorry, not to keep cutting you off. If we get a new young female detective, if we get rid of Silva, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's not gonna be good because I'm really, really, really sick of getting new randos that pop up. Okay, so just keep Silva. She's growing on me. And I don't want a new person again. That's all.
So she, just so we're aware of what else this showrunner has worked on. She worked on Agent Carter, which
Ooh.
for those who watch the MCU shows, Agent Carter is like a very beloved Marvel series that was short-lived. She worked on Emergence, which I actually really liked. Was a silly, fun show. And she works on Gen V, which is the spinoff from The Boys. So I'm gonna put a lot of faith into her and hope that means we're gonna get some good stuff.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yes, that is actually the thing that I was like, as much as I'm gonna be honest, everybody, I did not want to do today's episode. I was like, we should just not do it and move on. But we had this news that I knew I wanted to tell everybody.
I love it.
How hilarious that I was like, I don't really want to do this. Something I've never said.
It's in the bottom. It's in the bottom.
Anyway, let's move on to shower thoughts.
Do you have a would you rather question?
Yeah, I came prepared.
Okay, thank God. Okay.
So for our friends who listen in the shower, enjoy while we play Would You Rather. So because I did not like this episode, and is the first time or the second time that there's an episode that I will never watch again. Here are my Would You Rathers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather only be allowed to rewatch your least favorite episodes, or never be able to see more than the last 10 minutes of your favorite episodes?
Whoa.
So you can watch SVU, but you're only going to see either episodes you don't like, or you're only ever going to catch the last 10 minutes of the ones you do.
Last 10 minutes, probably. Because here's the thing, the last 10 minutes of Babes, like, I'd choose that over this episode every single day. You know? Last 10 minutes of Dreams Deferred, beautiful 10 minutes.
I thought about it while I was writing it, and I would say I agree the last 10 minutes for sure, but then there's so many times where an episode starts and I'm like, oh, this is the one where this happens, and I'll remember half of it, and then it'll be one of those episodes where something happens that switches the entire like direction of what they care about, and it's a completely different episode. So the last 10 minutes you're like, how did we get here? What episode?
You know what I'm thinking about? How many banger endings there are. The episode where I think it's the John Stamos one, the one with the fish knife.
Yes,
that's an incredible last 10 minutes. The one with the girl in the suitcase and she it's a lot of stabbing, but I just like those. Like,
okay, but think about this. What about the ones where you loved the episode, but the last 10 minutes is Benson being like, you're going to be okay?
I mean, that wouldn't be ideal, but sometimes I do just need to hear that as a person. So I could just save those for when I need a pep talk, you know?
If you're live in our chat, let us know your thoughts on Would You Rather.
That was a really good one.
Thank you. I was really worried that they were not.
That. No, that was really good.
Okay. I like this new thing where we play Would You Rather for
really
shower thoughts.
I'll try to come prepared next time.
Meh.
Or you can just do it because I like being asked.
I mean, I think about the answer as well.
Okay. Well, I know, but I like when it's a surprise for me. It's like a little, oh.
All right. Okay. Our next segment is What Did We Learn? And I don't know if you have anything for this because I don't.
I learned that you can just enter a house without a warrant. And nobody cares. Except the homeowner.
I understand that there are circumstances where you can enter a home without a warrant. I needed a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Or hand him a piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like, pick one or the other. I don't care which direction we go. Because if you're not going to do either, then now I'm wondering if this better come back into play.
Yeah. And I'm not confident that I will.
Oh, no, we're never seeing that man again. No.
Rip.
Yeah. Okay. What did I learn? I learned that there are 2 episodes in 26 seasons that I will never sit through another time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Real.
look, the odds are good. The odds are good because most episodes range from that's okay to oh my god, I love this episode.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the 2 episodes that are I hate this.
Yeah. Real.
Yep. All right, that's that. So I don't want to spend any more time on this crap. I'm sorry to the people who worked on this episode. There were a lot of things in terms of like making a show that was done well. This story was not it.
Yeah, agreed.
Until next episode, which we will do at some point. I'm letting you know now. Make sure you've subscribed to wherever you're enjoying us so that you don't miss when we do our next episodes. Taylor, if they want to talk to you about positive things and things you do like on the internet, where are you?
You can find me on Twitter at alphaba_Ann. You can also find me on Twitter, or whoa, what? My brain just short-circuited. You can also find me on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_. You can find me on TikTok, I think at Taylor_Gates_. I
You said it was Alpha Ann.
Okay, it's Alpha Ann. Yep, sorry. You can find me there sometimes. That's why I was like, what is it? Like, I was buffering for a second. You can also just search my name and then Collider, and you can see a bunch of interviews I've been doing. If you want.
Amazing. Check out Taylor. Also, this Friday.
Are we okay? This episode broke us.
Yes. This Friday, you're going to want to go to Taylor_Gates_ or Alphaba_Ann and wish her a happy frickin' birthday.
You can do that if you want.
You're going to want to do that on Friday. I am Yael Tygiel, everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. If you want to hear about spicy romance novels, go to Good Little Library Mouse. We'll see you next time, hopefully in much better moods. Bye, everybody.